let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to Thicc Radio, the award-winning podcast where we talk about gaining, fetishism, and everything in their orbit. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it. Today we're welcoming to the show for the first time. Today we've got our friend Mochi.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing, hon? You all right?
Yes, a very difficult period and sure the worst day ever, but I'm really happy. And if you see my face right now, I'm very blessed to be with you guys.
Oh, bless you. Thank you for being here. We're really looking forward to having you on. You and I have talked over the years, of course, wanting to have you on, and it's just never seemed the right opportunity. But now is, of course, the perfect time because you're such a star, and I feel like more people need to know about you and everything that you're getting up to in the jolly old land of Greece. So listen, Mochi, darling, are you ready to get into it today?
Yeah, for sure. I can say everything about you. I have heard your online story on Instagram, the live that you made on Instagram, and it was amazing. It was euphoric. It was super. It was a thing that I have never experienced, to see people talking about fatness the way that it should be. Like it's a beautiful and nothing different from other bodies, and it's really needed for a fat person to have you guys and hearing you talking with something without putting bad vibes on it, only good vibes, and only talking about fatness, and that is good. But also I have the space to hear that if I want to lose weight, it's also good, and everybody experience their own journey. And really, really euphoric. I have told to many of my friends about your radio, and I'm really can't wait also to post this production that we do right now. I'm so happy to be with you guys. I think you have a lot to show and to give.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
It's really kind. You know, and look, we'll say this here near the top of the episode. You know, this is what we mean when we say everything in its orbit, because, you know, Mochi, you and I have talked about this one-on-one. You don't necessarily identify as a gainer, and we'll ask about labels and all of that in due course. But, you know, Thicc Radio is, yes, it is about gaining and fetishism. Of course, that's our bread and butter. We know we love the butter here. But also the positivity and the joy that gaining brings, and I know we have talked about this on different episodes, is available to every single person, especially fat people. Whether you're in this specific community or not, or adjacent to it, doesn't matter. There is a freedom and a light and a joy that comes from these types of discussions. So please, dear listener, never get it twisted. If we have people on who are chubs and chasers, people who are just fat and wanna have something to say, that everyone is a part of this community and conversation. That's what we're here to host, and that's what we're here to do. Okay, so never get that twisted. Mochi is a part of this, so let's get into it. Talking about this, because you are quite that passionate person, can you share with our listeners what your body journey has been like?
From when I remember myself as maybe 10 years old, I was fat. I was being the fat person to everything that I've done. I'm keeping this body with me. I know the feeling, I know the politics that it's around it. And I have, the problem is, and the problem that I always find from my 10 years old, it's that I have no problem with it. I liked it, and all the people around me has a problem with it. Everybody has something to say about it. Everybody thinks that they can say something about my body, and that I have to change, and etc., and all the fatphobic things that you know. So the fat phobia was never internal until some age. So the experience that I have, it's oh my God, why they don't like fat guys? Fat guys were so sexy. Like my first, the first person that I get really attracted to was an Islander 45 years old, big bear, super chubby, with big beard. But that he was my boss. I hope no one that no one listening to this net now from that island. But I was like, I had a really crush on it, like father figure and bear father figure, etc. For me, it was like I really starting to find fat bodies really attractive and find myself into having something, but I already have something that I like, and I like my body. So it was very weird when I found myself uh, in the other side fighting other people's. I was fighting actually my identity and my label that I was a happy chubby. I was always a happy chubby, and like after some years, I went to a happy bear, and everybody was like, yes, yeah, but you're so handsome. Why you don't lose weight? Or you so? And I was always happy with it. I just want to add up that even if I found problems comparing my social life and my art life and the life that I want to do, I want to dance, I want to do etc etc etc, and my body, my fat body keeps me down on it. There's always internal fat phobia excuses for it to arouse at that time, of course. And whatever it happened to me, I cannot fight the simple proof that I feel so sexy with it. That I'm watching porns that I do on X, and I'm like, oh my god, I really like this body. I can have sex with myself, and I can. I think this is very important. I think this is a gift. I have this gift that I found my body very attractive, even if the fat phobia kicks me again, even if I cannot. I cannot believe that I can do all of that. It's difficult, and I cannot do all the stuff with that body. It's very weird that that never wins the fact that I'm so fucking happy having that body and that I feel so sexy. And yeah, I have to stop talking now because I'm getting moved and I don't want to cry like in the podcast. But
Well,
thank you for letting me express myself in that way. Like, really important.
you are very welcome. And you know what? Like, if you feel the need to cry, please cry. Because, I know that I've gotten emotional on the podcast before, and I know that Tim's had passionate rants, and this is the point. People need to hear the emotion behind what we're expressing because, as you say, you're happy in who you are, and all of that negativity just comes from all these other bitches trying to put you down. And even if in their own mind they're going, well, I'm just trying to tell him to lose weight. I'm just being supportive. I'm being friendly. I'm doing. Nah, baby. Like, more people need to realize, like, mind your business. Like, if you are not being invited to speak, take the hint and shut the fuck up. On this podcast, you've been invited to speak. Therefore, say your piece. But you're not on here right now, so shh. You think, oh, I need to comment about someone's weight loss, weight gain. I need to contribute by letting them know shh. If it is not complimentary, rooted from the perspective of that person's joy, don't do it. Don't project your expectations on someone. We talk about this more than enough, people. This is for everybody. Now, I want to dive in a little bit here because I know we obviously teased before about you don't necessarily identify as a gainer, and obviously there's in the gay community a fuck bear, cub, chub, bull, dolphin, manatee, like fuck it. There's all sorts of labels. But Mochi, for you, baby, I want to ask, what labels do you identify with? What is the logic behind it? What is your experience with the labels? Talk to us about that.
I think I identify myself as a chubby, yes, like chubby bear, non-binary chubby bear. I think if in another world fatness would be a gender, it will be like some, because I think it's so different from how other society express about fatness, that fatness actually it's not just a label, it's for me it could be a gender. So yes, I don't identify as a gainer, and this is because I don't feel like I don't find something good or having more fun thinking that I want to be more fat. But I always liked it in a sexual idea. I find very attractive and sexy when someone likes that I'm so fat. I have the gainers, let's say, I have the gainers roots. That is, I love feeding sex. So when it makes me so horny when someone want to feed me, but I'm not pretty sure that my mind goes on the way that they want to feed me because they want to make me more fat, or I'm getting very horny by they want to feed me because they take care of me. So feeding is having this exactly position that is very good. I like the idea of feeding because it makes me horny, but it not I don't identify myself as a gainer because I don't like to be more fat. So it's not like I don't like to be more fat. It's like I don't get I don't get horny with it. So it stops, I think, on the feeding sex as a practice, like when they just force feeding you food with cock, or in practice. I don't know. Sorry if we don't
No, you're
this.
fine. You're fine. You can say cock. We cuss all the time. What it sounds to me like is you are turned on by the intimacy of being fed. Like that intimate act is what turns you on, but you're not necessarily turned on by the fact that that is going to make you fatter, which is the sort of general symbiosis of a feeder and feedee.
I think this points to something that we've been talking around a little bit, right? Like, there are kind of these pillars within the fetus gaining mecca, right? You've got this idea of fat, the material itself, body, texture, feeling, mass, beautiful stuff. And by that extension, muscle. Some people love the muscle. Then you've got the transformation element where people actually want to see you grow and become larger. The third pillar is feeding, which is in itself that form of intimacy. And I truly believe that different people in our community like different combinations of that. Some people show up for all three. Some people show up for a combination of two, and some people are just there for the one thing. And I think that is an example of how Mochi shows up and takes place, potentially in the feeding and gaining community. Because even though there's not necessarily a kink for growth or transformation, you are someone who loves the fat you have and loves to celebrate your body, and you love the feeding element. It doesn't necessarily translate to growth, you know? And of course, maintainers, people who don't want to go up or down the scale, people who want to maintain the body they have, that is an accurate reflection of the community. So, you know, for anyone listening to that who might think to themselves, oh, he doesn't want to grow, that doesn't count, it very much counts. And we should never be casting aspersions on that. So I think that aligns very firmly with the kind of things we like to see in our community, quite honestly.
Yes, but the thing is that I feel about my fatness that I don't want to have like to express myself around changing my body. I don't want to be around changing my body again. I just want to be me and feel me and do whatever me likes. I don't want to. I want to go with the flow of my body. I want to really engage with what my body feels and do. And I don't want to force because I did before. Of course, I did before. I did a lot to change it, and I always feel very strained, very that I'm prisoned,
Restrained.
restrained. It's the word, like by the you have to lose weight and you have to make a diet and you have to on all this. So for me, as a fat activist, as I said myself, I just want to love the fat that I have, and that it's not that I exclude gainers. It's like for myself, I don't dream about growth. I just want to love myself as I already am, and press show to others that what I have is to be loved.
Hmm. I love that. And again, I think this is a journey that it's not necessarily gaining, but it's still very much adjacent and related to what we're doing. And I think it's an important story to share. Speaking of which, you had mentioned before that you are non-binary, and I believe your pronouns are they, them, correct?
Yeah, in Greece it's really difficult to have like the they them pronouns because they're not there at all. They don't get it. It's difficult to their mouth to use it. They don't use it. I have been misgendered for my whole life, and I'm not expecting for people to understand it. Some people are very angry in Greece about it, but I am keep having it. I feel okay with all the gender pronouns because I'm okay with being he because I cannot change the way they see me and the way they read gender on the street, and I don't want to feel dysphoria every day. So I just prepare myself to be okay with he. I feel great with they. It's a euphoric when people talk to me in Greek with they them, uh, and I feel an activist when I'm using the female pronouns in the way of in Greece. It's really important to reclaim what femininity is and to give more power because in the language, I don't know if it's something if it's the same for English, but for Greek, in the language, the patriarchy it works really well. Everything has only the he him pronouns, and every word is like um, every work, every name is on the he him pronouns spectrum. It's about masculinity and how masculinity like being all over it. So it's for me it's important to use she or they them for everything, and starting to use it more as they use, like even if it's a female doctor, they still use the word doctor, but in Greek, that doctor in Greek, it's he, him doctor. It's never gender neutral doctor.
And so you also mentioned that being, a fat activist in a place like Greece, like how do things like fat phobia and queerphobia manifest in Greece? What is that experience like to live through?
It's not good to be fat and have a pink hair or purple hair or whatever. It's very very hard, and I found myself like save my head like every 6 months to like being 6 months scholar, 6 months not, because I really cannot handle the looks on the street or the talks or they're yelling me, they're bullying me on the street without reason, just like a motorbike just come by and yell like faggot or fat, like because you're giving them the light, like you're opening the lamp so they can see you. Actually, for me, it's an activist already. It's an activist way to to show skin as a fat person and to having this hair as a fat person and as a masculine characteristic and performance gender performative masculine person. So in Greece it's fucking it's a fucking problem. Like some days it's really hard some days you don't want to go out of your house because or you don't want to go to a specific place because you know in that space there will be more of a macho straight people, and you will have not fun, or you don't. I'm confessing this actually right now. I don't think I ever confessed it, but I don't like to be out on the time that the school is finished. I'm always avoid to be outside when the school is finishing, because children, they don't know how to how to manage themselves and how to react, and I always hear something. So yeah, yes, it's hard.
You bring up an interesting point because specifically about the they them pronouns, because like English is a romance language, but it's much more of like a composite romance language. I mean, we take so many different elements from different languages across the globe, but I don't think anyone ever really brings up the other romance languages and how all of the nouns and words and verbs are gendered, and how difficult it must be for people who speak other romance languages to adopt the they them pronouns in a sentence structure. I'm sure it sounds very bizarre for them to say it, like, and I just think that's really interesting because I had never considered that before, about the difficulty for people who speak like Spanish, French, Greek, Italian, how it must be in their head to like form the sentence and then switch the pronoun out and have it gender neutral.
I mean, we know a couple of Latin people who've expressed to us, the gender neutral or gender inclusive term that everyone decided was Latinx, because we love to just throw an X on things in English because we're like, oh, that's neutral, but grammatically and linguistically that doesn't make sense in Spanish. So the correct neutral is Latine, and it's like there needs to be more like exploration about what gender neutrality or gender inclusivity looks like without centering English as the framework of expectation, which, again, that's a conversation we've had on the podcast before. We center whiteness, we center English, we center the Western experience without considering what does everything look like when we delineate that, right? So to anyone listening, things we need to just be more freaking aware of, period. I want to talk a little bit, right? Because you, again, being this fat activist, being the person that you are, you've actually done a lot. You are quite the performer. I don't know what easy title you'd give yourself, because you've done so much. You are, I think, in many ways a dancer and a mover and a shaker. I think you're a performer. I think you're an activist. You're an actor. You're a writer. You've done all of this, right? So I want to kind of touch on a couple of these things, So first of all, in terms of writing, I know you've done some poetry in the past, and I know you've also written a book. The book is called Dude, You're So Gay, and I'm Bored. Can you tell us a little bit about the book, and then maybe tell us a little bit about your poetry?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I do have a lot of multimedia artistic practices. I'm doing a lot of stuff, and it's difficult to describe myself to a person. So let's say that I used to have a lot of theater background from a very young age. I went to art school, so I did 6 years there, and when I was young, 12 to 18. And then after that, I went also to drama school for 1 year, and after 1 year I was like, okay, now I want to work. I didn't finish the school, never. So I started working 2009. So no, 2010, I'm sorry. So it's been 14 years now, and I did theater until 2017, and I get bored because I really think that, and I'm sorry about the theater people that they're hearing it, I really think that the theater is going to find art. So I mean, it's very stable right now. So for me, it was a need to change my view and to change the way that I'm seeing art. This is why all those years that I'm working on theater, from 2010 to 2017, I did it experimental theater and etc. So devised performances, blah blah. So after that, I found myself as a performance artist doing my kind of stuff and being alone and bring this together with my activism and my politics, and I combine politics and activism and fat activism with my art, and then I feel like I explode artistically and as a person. I explode and I found another self. I changed my name. I choose another name. The name Mochi is a chosen name. I'm so happy that I killed my last one. Um, and for me, it's a way of taking really my life in my hands and taking really the things that I want to show to people. Take it seriously, because a lot of people told me, why are you changing your name and why you don't have a Greek name? And I'm like, yeah, for me it's like, yes, I did it for that way, like for being away from the Greek drama and experience and to find myself in another level, and I'm happy that I did. So part of my work always have the writing. I always love to writing until I found myself on a poetry slam that it was really queer and experimental. It was the first poetry slam I ever read. It was a poetry slam called Pokemon Poetry. Um, that in Greek was very fancy that time. And I really read for my Nintendo 3DS. I have write the poem on the Nintendo 3DS, and I read for me. For me, it was like it was really next level on my performance and artistic way. So after that, I will be very fast now. I start a whole publishing initiative with other people. So I started to publish myself zines and books curated by me. And last September, I had my first book that I was working 1 year on it. The whole book talks about like with the things that talks about like the non-productive gay and what they do in their lives if we're not giving birth to child, if we are not getting married, if we are not going to the army, if we are not etc having a heteronormative straight way of living, what we do, what what life there is for us. And it's actually an existential piece, and it's full of erotic and self autofiction experience and trauma of fat gay non-binary born as a boy.
When I often reflect on bare products, shall I say, it's usually like underwear. And like, that's no shade. Like, that's fabulous. I need good underwear that I look good in as well as a big boy. People need to stop talking about Christian Anderson, like, or Andrew Christensen. It's like, oh, it looks good because it makes your cock look bigger. Like, bitch, I'm fat. My cock looks small. I don't care. Like, I need something that shows off the juiciness of my ass.
A
Look,
lot of his underwear are uncomfortable too. I've got quite a few pieces of his, and some of them are just plain uncomfortable. Like they're not meant to be comfortable because they're the showier ones. They're the ones that are meant to be like you're just supposed to strut around in them and nothing else. But
but
you
like,
know, my days of being a public showpiece are kind of over. So
so what I like about this is we're really talking about, something produced that is bears, for bears, about the bear, the chub, the big boy experience that isn't just about showing. I guess it's not just doing what everyone else is doing. It's something a little bit different, and I love that. But speaking of like, that kind of physical movement and performance. Talking a little bit about theater, you did a production recently called Seismos, and I believe you're also a part of like the Vogue community, and you've been going to ballroom and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience as a plus size performer?
It's very difficult when you're saying to a theatrical piece, that you don't want to lose weight. You just need the chairs of the theater to be bigger, to fit every fat person. And you don't have to change your body so you can watch theater. Like watching relaxed theater with your belly doesn't struck, and you just feel relaxed and okay. It's very weird to be on this production and actually talking about all that stuff that even the production doesn't do it. Like, and I don't mean by the production, I don't mean the director and etc. Because also the director and my fellow actors were like, they're really trying to support me on this. But it's very difficult when they just say, we don't have a chair, so like a bigger chair, so some super chubby person cannot watch this very euphoric about him. So this is, I think this is what I wanted to say about it. It's a theatrical show about diversity, and actually not diversity, but the phobias, and how people react to their phobias, and how mean they can be just asking a question like, why you don't want, you're not tired of being so fat all the time. So it's they have a lot of different identities that we are searching on it, Sismos. And this is the whole thing. I'm the fat person, as you did. I'm talking about fatness and fat phobia.
Any kind of movement, there's a lot of it centers smaller bodies. It doesn't factor in what we need as larger people. Even as you say, Mochi, something as simple as like a chair to sit in. Like, listen, I am 200-ish pounds right now, okay? 100-ish kilos. I am already at a size where I have started to encounter basic chairs that have arms on them that are not friendly to me, okay? And if I'm experiencing that at my size, how is it for everyone else? Mochi is deliciously thick. When we do the socials at the end, you're going to go get to see how thick and delicious Mochi is. So if I'm Struggle City, how is it for Mochi, and how is it for other people? We need to be aware of these things, especially when we talk about performance, because nature of performance, and I think you can echo this here, Mochi, shifts when you're looking at larger bodies. The representation of beauty and sex through certain motions and poses looks a certain type of way on stage, but then you have a fat person and suddenly people are like, oh, suddenly apparently it doesn't read at all, even though you are being as provocative, as demonstrative. That I find very fascinating.
I have this amazing story that it always come to me, and it's like it's happening so many times. They came to me like, I'm doing a piece, I have a naked moment. Every time I have a fucking naked moment in a performance or in a theater or whatever, people are coming to me and they tell me, oh, this is so moving. Like, thank you so much for share. Like, oh, poor fatty, you show us your body and you're not ashamed of it, and you did it. Oh, thank you so much for being so. You're you're very. What is the word? You have courage for doing this. Like,
Which is it's that put down, like, it's a microaggression. The whole like, I don't know how you did it. I couldn't do that if I looked like you. You must have so much, and it's like, that's like, I have courage because I'm gorgeous. Like, you don't have courage because you're ugly. Like, you and I are not the same. I'm not confident because I'm fat. I'm confident because I'm fat and beautiful.
Yeah.
You struggle because you don't see your beauty, and that is not my burden to have to listen to a bitch give a backhanded compliment. And they do think they're being complimentary. It's the same thing as like, you just haven't eaten yet. And someone's like, oh, are you on a diet? Because you're not bloated from food. And it's like, nah, bitch, I haven't eaten yet. And it's like, you couldn't have waited 2 seconds for lunch before you launched in with your diet comment. Some bitches try it. They really, really do. Now, on the note of performance, you have also taken part before with Barely Athens. It's a huge event that happens. And I want to take a little time talking about it just because, people know about like Bear Bash, Cannonball, Belly Rub Weekend, Texas, Hoedown, Smackdown, whatever the fuck it's called. Like, all these bear events that happen. And Citrus. People are learning about Citrus now. But like Barely Athens, I don't necessarily hear a lot of people talking about that. What is Barely Athens for listeners who may not know?
You have to know what you have to know. That is it's a very, I cannot translate this other word than Greek. It's a very Greek vibe, like very sort of it's about only fun. Like we're only having fun and eating all the time and being semi-naked on parties and other events and belly rubs and dancing. And like I think every year it's getting better, and every year like I have new things to watch. And for me it's a very important event that happened in Athens, because it's not like other countries that to be a fat bear it's totally fine and it's totally okay. I want to tell you that when the first time the Barely Athens happened, we went on the big papers of very church and very conservative newspapers, and they say things like orgies of big fat men happening in Athens. And for me I was so happy, like I take part on an event that it's so make it so big fuss. um of course it goes well with the gentrification of Athens and the using of the Athenian spots and etc. But for me, it's an important event as because no one take care about the Greek fat body, and no one accepts the Greek fat body. So even if it's bad, the way the touristic way that a bear event happened in the whole world, not only barely Athens, I think it's really important that I have this in Athens right now. I want also to say about Nicholas and Matt, that they own the whole project that they do. I don't know if they ever understand, not only for me, but for the whole Athens, that having a chubby 140 kilos, I don't know in pounds, I'm sorry, chubby person to dance on and do go-going on late night on an underwear party, that's never happened in Greece again. We did it first. They call me and I dance, and it's something that we're really making things to happen first. And I think it's really important. You know what I heard from people that was in Greece, the Greek people, that they heard that I'm dancing. They were asking me, "Can you dance? Like, how you dance? Are you a dancer and you with those feet?" And you're not having pain, like fat people, like bears, gay bears, actually asking me that how I did that. So for me, being on a kind of that event, being naked, being happy, being fun, watching drag queens, and provide all those fat pride around. Um, it's really important, because the Greek bears after that, they saw that, and they can feel better about themselves, and they will know, have in your mind, they ask me if I'm dancing, so they know right now that yes, you can dance and you can feel nice and you can be on the stage. It's not because you're fat that you will always be on the floor. You can be on the stage, man. Like you can do it. And for me, it's like really important, really important. I feel like I'm getting part to a very unique thing that happened in Athens right now.
So I don't know many Greek words, but I know a few. Do you think that, like, when you say like you can't really describe the feeling, do you think that the word kefi kind of describes it?
It's so cringe. I didn't want to say it because it's very cringe, but yes, I was about to say kefi because it's really you can say kefi is the Hakuna Matata of the Greeks. Like
Okay.
uh it means no worries. Like when I'm in Barely Athens, I've like spent all the time just chilling and don't give a damn and not even like maybe having like small personal drama that goes around like who fuck who and I don't know like you know what in Barely Athens also the weird thing that happened it's I never had sex. Many people had sex all the time, everywhere. I never had sex. You know why? Because like if I never had sex, I told you, but I have kissed and um, like lay down with maybe 100 people, but I never had sex because I'm really fine. The sexual energy there is so big all the time that I don't have the urge to fuck or to suck or whatever. And just fooling around with bears one by another like butterflies, I think like I never needed something more. Just to be adored and to adore people, to admire, be admired.
That's what it's like for me when I go to a lot of leather conventions.
It's the same thing, and again, we're coming back to this point, and I know we've talked about this before. People need to go to events, people need to engage in community because the payoff, what you get out of just being around people, like it is a way to recharge your soul that you just will not get anywhere else when you are around your people who understand you and you can just be calm and be at rest. The way that you will feel empowered, the way that you will feel energized by that is there is no drug you can take. There's no thing you can do on your own. It is something you can only ever get by being around other people who are in your community. This is all of this. So very important. And I want to ask here as we begin to come near the end of the episode, I think ultimately everything you're doing is reflected in your sense of fat activism. And I want to ask you just straight up, how has your life changed from when you started approaching fat activism to where you are now? How has it improved?
I will never stop saying that I'm an activist because I still feel struggle. I can feel euphoric time, I can feel safe, but I still feel struggle and I will stop saying that I'm an activist when I stop feeling the struggle. But it really, as I said, it really makes me safe. It really makes me sexy. It really makes me beautiful. It really gives me things to give to share with people.
And so for people who maybe people who are like you, who have grown up in larger bodies, who are looking to go on that journey to get to a better place in their everyday, what is a piece of advice you would give to anyone listening who's on that journey?
I like that you said before, don't listen to any bitch because they're always being bitch. I really make mine the internal fat phobia of another bear that I was. She's my ex now, let's say. And I really, after that, I really struggle myself to find again out. So never listen to bits. Listen to yourself means that you have the archive and the data of your whole experience and life. You already possess the manual of you. Your voice, it's always right. If I hear myself the way I hear myself now, I will do a different life. I will never change the, of course, anything, but I think if and I'm of course I'm having like I'm in my fourth year of psychotherapy to do that, but if I heard myself from day one, I will never be like here. I'm always I'm always struggling because I'm trying to convince myself on another person's story. And to be more exactly about it, I heard someone about having to lose weight, and I lose 20 kilos, and then I took it back, doubled, and what I find myself to it. Not because I'm fatter now. That it's not the difference is nothing. It's not about it. It's like I try to push myself to lose weight, and I lose the weight pushing myself and pushing and pushing and pushing because a fucking bear needs me to be less fat. They like fat, but less fat. It's not so fat that I like. So I try to be less fat, and yeah, I really fucked myself up. I really be someone that I wasn't, and that gives me struggle till now. Really, thank you for having me talk so freely.
Thank you, really, for sharing all of that. And I think this has been a wonderful episode to get to learn more about you and hear about what people are doing all around the world. You know, again, this is what we want to highlight, not just what's happening in the traditional West, but what's happening other places as well. So thank you so much for being here today. Where can our listeners find you online?
They can find me on Instagram _the_Mochi_, and the story between this is that, like, I was very young and I was thinking like the Hulk, so it was the Mochi. So this is why it's the Mochi, but no one understands it, but okay. So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook as Mochi or you. You can find me on X doing my porn stuff. I really believe that in the future I will have also just for fans. On X you can find me as a chubby slut, I think, and I can give you to write it because I don't know. It's a different numbers like chubby slut 564 something. I don't remember.
No, that's
And
probably all that in the show notes, and people can go and search from there if that's easier. But I think that's a wrap for now here on Thicc Radio. Please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. If you liked this episode, the podcast, or just us in general, please share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at ThiccyMouse. You can also look us up on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or at our website at podpage.com/thiccradio. If you want to submit a voice note or become a financial supporter of the show, you can find the links in the show notes, and you can always write to us at thiccradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Patreon and Anchor app podcast produced by Stan and Thiccy Mouse.
Mixed and mastered by Stan.
Our artwork is provided by Lokitu.
Our theme song is provided by Body by Cream.